I used to work as a wildlife photographer in the remote regions of northern Canada. My assignments often took me to desolate landscapes, but nothing prepared me for my trip to Frostbite Hollow, a notorious area rumored to be haunted. The stories about this place were whispered among locals, warning of the chilling encounters and disappearances that had occurred over the years. It was mid-January, and the sun hadn't risen above the horizon in weeks, casting the world in an eternal twilight. The temperature hovered around 30 degrees, and the biting cold clung to my skin as I navigated the snow-packed trail that wound through the barren woods, about 30 miles from a small, ghostly town called Cold Creek. I had come to capture the elusive Arctic fox, but as I drove deeper into the hollow, something felt off. The trees loomed overhead, their skeletal branches reaching out like bony fingers. I was on my way back to my cabin after a long day of shooting when I spotted something ahead on the trail, a figure swathed in white, standing motionless in the snow. As I got closer, my heart sank. It was a woman, dressed in a tattered parka, her face hidden beneath a hood. She looked utterly out of place in this desolate wilderness. My instincts kicked in and I pulled over, rolling down my window. "Do you need help?" I called out, my voice barely breaking the oppressive silence. She turned slowly to face me, her expression blank and haunting. "Help me," she whispered, her breath visible in the frigid air. There was something unnerving about her presence. It felt as though she were a specter, not entirely part of this world. I felt an unsettling chill creep up my spine. "Are you lost?" I asked, trying to maintain a calm tone. But as I stepped out of my truck, a putrid smell wafted through the air, a mix of burnt rubber and decay. The hair on my neck stood on end. "Please," she begged, her voice barely a whisper, but before I could reach her, she suddenly lunged at me, eyes wide with a frenzied desperation. I stumbled back, my heart racing, and jumped into my truck just as she reached for me. Slamming the door shut, I locked it, watching in horror as she began to pound on the window, her face twisted in rage. "You have to listen," she screamed, but her words became muffled, as if trapped in a dream. Panic surged through me, and I hit the gas, skidding away from the figure that now appeared more ghost than human. I drove straight to Cold Creek, adrenaline pumping through my veins. When I arrived at a local diner, I rushed in trembling and recounted my encounter. The locals exchanged worried glances, and an elderly woman finally spoke up, her voice trembling with fear. "You saw her, didn't you? The Frostbite Phantom." "Who is she?" I asked, my voice shaking. The woman explained that many years ago, a woman named Eliza had vanished in a blizzard while searching for help. They say her spirit roams the hollow, luring people in to join her eternal search. She's looking for something or someone, the woman warned, her eyes filled with dread. A chill gripped my heart. I had to go back, armed with my camera and a flashlight. I returned to the trail that night, determined to confront whatever haunted Frostbite Hollow. The air felt charged, and the shadows danced ominously around me as I walked. Suddenly, I heard soft whispers carried by the wind. "Eliza," I called, desperation creeping into my voice. "What do you want from me?" The whispering grew louder, swirling around me like a tempest. In a flash, I caught a glimpse of her, an ethereal figure bathed in moonlight, her face a mask of sorrow. I raised my camera, my heart pounding, and shouted, "I'm here." As I snapped a photo, the flash illuminated her face and I froze. For a split second, I saw not rage, but profound sadness. "Help me find him," she whispered, her eyes pleading. In that moment, I understood she wasn't a monster, but a soul trapped in time, searching for someone lost. But just as quickly as the connection formed, she vanished into the darkness. The whispers faded, leaving an unsettling silence that enveloped me. I stood there, breathless, grappling with what I had just experienced. Determined to help, I began investigating Eliza's past. I spent hours talking to locals, piecing together fragments of her story. I learned that she had been searching for her brother, who had gone missing during the same blizzard that claimed her life. As I dug deeper, I uncovered an old legend Eliza's brother had never been found, and she was bound to the hollow until he was returned. With renewed purpose, I returned to the woods the following night, armed with new knowledge. "Eliza," I called out, heart racing. "I want to help you find your brother." The wind howled in response, and suddenly the air turned frigid. The whispers returned, more intense than before, swirling around me like a blizzard. The snow began to swirl, and through the chaos, I spotted a faint figure, a young man, trapped in the storm. "Eliza, is that him?" I shouted, desperately aiming my camera. "Is that your brother?" The wind howled louder, and the figure began to dissolve, the darkness closing in around me. I felt a pull, as if the hollow itself was trying to drag me down into its icy depths. In a moment of clarity, I snapped a final photo, hoping to capture the truth before the storm engulfed me. The flash lit up the night, revealing the figure's face twisted with fear, but unmistakably familiar. It was me. The ground beneath me shifted, and I fell to my knees, realizing with horror that I was not there to help Eliza. I was her lost brother, trapped in a cycle of despair. I had been drawn to the hollow by a force I couldn't comprehend, living out a tragic loop of seeking and never finding. The world went dark. When I awoke, I was back in my truck, the engine still running, and the snow had begun to fall softly around me. I glanced at the rear-view mirror, and for a brief moment, I saw Eliza standing behind me, her face calm, almost grateful. I drove away, heart pounding, but the chill of the hollow lingered. I couldn't shake the feeling that I was still being watched, still connected to the haunted woods of Frostbite Hollow. Now, as I share my story, I carry Eliza's tale with me, a reminder that some souls are lost for a reason, and the truth may not always be what it seems. Stay tuned for more of my eerie adventures, but beware, some spirits are not content to remain in the past.